Hey guys, welcome to E-Man's Movie Reviews. I am none other than E-Man. This week I'm going to be reviewing the film Forrest Gump, which was made in 1994 by Mr. Robert Zemeckis. Forrest Gump is one of the greatest movies of all time, one of my personal favorites, and it stars one of my favorite actors, Tom Hanks. And the journey that his character goes through in this film is astounding. There's a lot of ups, there's a lot of downs, and it's just one left turn after another, and another right turn, and it's great. It really is. Forrest Gump, basically, is an animation about a forest full of tiny, cute woodland critters, which is run by little tiny elves. Now, the forest name is Gump, hence the title of the film, because most of the film takes place in this forest. The elves are free-spirited and a kind people, and they make sure that peace and harmony reign throughout all the forest. The gnomes, however, are quite the opposite. They are very horrible and spiteful creatures, and from the very beginning, when they came to the forest, they wanted to rule. And so now they decide that it's time to finally wage war against the elves and completely ruin all of their lives, and an epic battle ensues. The elves unfortunately lose the battle since they are peaceful people and they were caught completely off guard, and all of the elves are wiped out. Well, not all of them. One manages to escape and is voiced by Tom Hanks. Tom decides to seek out the help of the dwarves, since it is known that they are highly skilled warriors, to gain their help, but unfortunately he finds out that they've all disappeared mysteriously. With nowhere else to go, Tom goes to a new forest to start a fresh life, but he's not a very good scavenger, and he has a lot of problems finding food, and the shelter that he makes breaks within minutes. He doesn't realize that he's being followed this entire time that he's in this new forest, ever since he left the old one, ever since he left Forrest Gump. But after a few weeks of being watched from a distance, the last surviving dwarf, since all the other dwarves have disappeared, there's only one that's left, voiced by Gary Sinise, decides to go and help Tom, sees that he's been struggling and it's time for him to step in, and most importantly, he decides to train him. Gary, unfortunately, is too old, so he can't help Tom fight, but he teaches Tom everything that he knows and becomes his mentor. And after years of intense training, Tom returns to Forrest Gump and gets revenge on all of his fallen people by single-handedly taking down the gnomes one by one with machine guns, with chainsaws, with knives, and with the raw strength of his bare hands. There's a lot of great action scenes in this film. He manages to kill every single gnome, but lets one survive, the daughter of the leader of the gnomes, voiced by Robin Wright, so that he can mate with her and end the feud between the gnomes and the elves once and for all, even though they're the only two survivors since all the other elves and gnomes are dead. Robin gives birth to an elf, a gnome/elf, but it dies shortly after birth since elf DNA and gnome DNA are incompatible with one another. Robin is devastated, of course, and commits suicide, and Tom goes through a spiral of depression and heavy drinking, which causes an imbalance in the forest until he dies of dysentery. This movie was a roller coaster. Really, literally. I mean, 1 minute it's blood and fighting, and then more blood and fighting, and then it's a drama, and then tragedy and despair. If you're the type of person that enjoys unexpected dark endings, this is the movie for you. But in all honesty, this is a movie that speaks to all types of generations, all types of age groups. And I think there was a specific reason why Robert Zemeckis decided to make this as a cartoon versus a live action or, a computer animation. I think that he wanted to reach kids because the main lesson is that life is unexpected and can take a lot of hard turns. And it's tough. It really is. I mean, it might not be as extreme as it was for Tom, but it is pretty tough. And there's going to be a lot of hardships and pain thrown your way, and you need to understand how to just either avoid them or roll with them and move forward in order to have a great life. So if you guys haven't seen this movie, please see this movie. If you guys have seen this movie, I urge you guys, watch this movie again. And make sure that you guys get your kids to watch this movie. It's important for them to know at a young age that this is the important lesson for them to just really understand. And I saw this movie when I was a kid. That's why I had a way of thinking of, you know what, anything that gets thrown my way that's hard, I'm gonna keep, I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna keep pushing forward. Before I go, I'd like to rate this movie a solid 9 out of 10, 9.0 out of 10. It's just fantastic. It really is. So I hope you guys enjoyed this movie as much as I did. And for all you kids out there, there's important lessons. Learn them. I'll see you guys next week.